Hello YouTube, this is my second attempt at recording this video because my phone kept connecting to my CarPlay and I didn't have any audio. But this video is going to be me talking about I want to talk about my ownership with my Audi A7. I want to talk about why this is my favorite car that I have ever owned. I want to also tell you guys what to potentially look out for when it comes to buying these type of cars. And more importantly, I want to tell you guys why I believe this car, the Audi A7 and the Audi A6 are some of the best bargains you can find on the used car market right now in 2025. I don't work for Audi or anything like that. And if you have been subscribed to me forever, I am not in Illinois. I'm in Pigeon Forge, actually. I just took this car on the Tail of the Dragon twice. I took it on the Cherry Skyway, and I took it on the Parkway Skyway thing. This car has been driven all day. And if I don't put it in the title, this car has 223,000 miles on the dash. And I bought this car for $8,000. The car is currently tuned on APR Stage 2. And this car makes around 460 horsepower and around 410 pound-feet of torque or whatever, right? The car is not, it doesn't look stock, it's not stock. I obviously have some modifications outside of the tune that I will get into. I have no idea what direction this video is going to go into. I just want to talk about my ownership and one of my favorite things about this car, because I haven't introduced this car to the channel. I no longer have the Mustang. I got hit by a pickup truck. That car got washed. That car is toast, right? And I just wanted to make a video on the A7. I love this car so much. I've owned it for 2.5 years now. I'm 9 miles away from home, and this is the car I drove here in, right? And it looks fantastic, and it looks modern too. So let's get into my ownership. All right, so ownership. What's went wrong? What are my thoughts on it? It's been 2 years. Remix. I'm trying to buy an A7. I want to buy a really cheap A7 or A6. What have you done to your car, and what was your experience? Right? Cool. So I've had very little issues with this car. This engine is awesome. This is my first supercharged car, and I've had very little issues with it, right? Again, outside of just maintenance stuff, right? Or like an oil leak or the predictable Audi stuff, right? You may be thinking, well, what do you mean by predictable Audi stuff? So when I bought this car, there was oil consumption, but I did not know from where. And it turned out that my valve cover gaskets were leaking pretty badly. Specifically the driver's side valve cover gaskets, right? That's something that I did run into as an issue. The car does consume quite a bit of oil sometimes, but that is normal for this particular engine. So this also goes for the A6, the not the S7, I mean the A6, S5, and the S4, depending on what year, right, that you get this engine in. Something to also look out for is engine motor mounts. Those tend to go bad on these cars, especially with higher mileage. The cats are trash on these cars, so if you do decide to modify them, the cats do go out the more that you tune them, so just watch out for that. Another thing that goes out, well, for me, is that my flex pipe rotted out. It was rusty, so I had that replaced as well. The infotainment, I'm gonna get into the interior and make that separate, but yeah, and regarding the engine, it's been rock solid, man. I can't complain. And I bought this car at 184,000 miles, and the car is running smoothly at 223,000 miles. This car was stock when I got it, so if you are looking for one of these cars, especially if you're looking for a high mileage one, make sure you do your research. Make sure you get the Carfax, and make sure that the service history is legitimate and that the service history is meticulous, right? I would recommend buying a stock one, making sure that you get a pre-purchase inspection. That's what I did as well for this car. And yeah, you should have no trouble. The transmission on these things are rock solid. You can throw a ton of fucking power at them and they will hold up. Even if you don't maintain the transmission, they still hold up, right? People that don't take good care of their cars, the transmission will take care of itself for the most part. The engine, not so much. I would say I do get my oil change pretty regularly at like every 5,000 to 10,000 miles, depending on how rough I'm driving it, which is very, very, very rare that I drive the car rough. I only drive the car rough when I'm here in Tennessee, and I only do that a few times a year, right? So yeah, I've had very little issues with this car, especially when it comes to the engine. I've just been maintaining my my regular scheduled maintenance, which is the oil changes, spark plugs, coil packs, all that stuff, right? That's what I've been doing. One thing that did go wrong on this car, though, and this seems to happen quite frequently with the coolant system with the V6s, is that this coolant line right here, The car's kind of hot, so I'm not going to touch it. But this coolant line right here did break. It's the crossover pipe. And that does seem to happen quite often on these cars, the crossover pipe. And just the cooling system in general. So PCV valves, water pumps, they do tend to go bad. I've never had that issue, though. But I do want to bring it up. Same thing goes for the engine motor mounts. Those tend to fail sometimes, quite frequently or quite commonly, I guess, right? And I'm going to get into my mods later. So I know you see the air intake. I'm going to get into that later. But in terms of this engine's great. And in terms of value, this car is amazing, right? Let's talk about value really quick. This car stock makes 300 horsepower. And I'm going to close the trunk, actually, so you can look at the car. Boom. This car stock makes around 310 horsepower, I think, and like maybe 290 pound-feet of torque. Now, you can get this car you can get a car like this, right? An A7, high mileage. As long as you do your homework right, you can find good conditions. You can find good examples of them, because you have to remember the type of people that bought these cars new. They're not young people that's buying these cars. It's old people that are just driving it dailying it. No window tint, right? Those are the type of people you want to buy the car from, or those are the type of previous owners you want. This car was stock. It was red, no tints, no nothing, right? Cool. Anyway, you can buy this car for under 10 grand. You can get a stage 1 tune, which is like $300, and then you have a 410 all-wheel drive horsepower Audi with a supercharger, right? All under 10 grand, right? And the A6s are even cheaper. The A6 with the 3-liter goes for like 6 or 7K if you get like a cheap one. Again, make sure you do your homework and get a pre-purchase inspection. Or if you're okay with working on the car yourself, you can get it cheaply that way, right? These are clean title cars. You may not be as fortunate or as lucky as I was, but I mean, I paid cash for this thing, and it's easily one of my favorite cars ever. The horsepower per dollar is just insane. And as I get into the interior, you're going to see why there's just so much value here. The car rides like a dream. There's no creaks, there's no rattles, there's nothing, none of that BS, right? And I used to own a Scat Pack, a 392, and the interior on this 2012 just blows that thing out of the water, you know what I mean? So I think there's just so much value here in these cars. I'm gonna move into the inside so I can show you guys the inside of the car too. Okay, so I'm in the inside of the car, and the interior of this car is held up really, really nice. There's only so much I can show you, but just take my word for it. This car feels great. It feels almost brand new, right? The doors held up nicely, and as you can see right there, let me see if I can zoom in. You can see I'm at 222,000. Boom, no big deal. I also modified the screen, which I'm gonna get into in my mods section. Cable right here, I have CarPlay in here. I can also watch YouTube in here, but the seats held up, I mean, great. The car just looks amazing. I also mounted the TV back there, which again, I'm gonna get into later. But yeah, the car just, everything works in here too, you know? On the topic of the screen though, with the A7 and the A6 or any of the Audis that have the pop-out screen, you do want to make sure that that they work. So long story short is the cable that provides power to the screen is like this much too small. And what happens is over time, especially in the higher mileage Audis, that cable will break and then you'll have a black screen. So make sure if you're going to buy one of these, you want to make sure that the screen actually works when it pops out. Otherwise, you can either repair the cable with by rewiring the power cable, or you can just replace it like I did with CarPlay. In my opinion, the only part of this interior, the only part of this entire car actually that looks dated is actually the infotainment system. Once you replace this, the car it feels extremely modern. And I like that. I like to have physical buttons. Call me old fashioned, but you know, I like having my buttons. All right, so I'm gonna go back to the engine bay to start off with the mod list, right? And we're gonna start with the engine. There's not a lot done under here. The first thing I did in this car, before I got a tune or anything, was I actually opted to get a cold air intake, supercharger noises, vroom vroom. And if you don't know what that means, it's for anyone that Hellcat, right? The Hellcat has a crazy supercharger whine. This car also has a crazy supercharger whine. I think I'm going to include like a little bit of it in the video, but that is the only reason why I have an intake. If you're looking for straight horsepower and you don't care about supercharger whine, I would recommend either keeping the stock airbox or getting a different one, because this is not a cold air intake, it's a hot air intake. I mean, it gets hot as fuck under here, bro, right? So yeah, I got that for the supercharger whine. The next thing I got was the coil packs, and the spark plugs were replaced with better ones. I got, what was it? My spark plugs are NGK, I think. They are just rated a little bit better when it comes to the fuel management. I think that's what they do. I'm not entirely sure. Call me an idiot, right? But I think I got NGK Iridium spark plugs because of the tune that I have. So I just want a better spark plug, so I got that. Everything else on this car. Oh my God, how could I forget? When I got my coolant line replaced, the place I went to an Audi shop, and I actually have a lower pulley on here. Duh, I completely forgot about that. I have a new lower pulley and a new pulley on here. So that pulley gives me a few extra horsepower, and I'm on stage 2, which leads me to my next modification. I am tuned by APR stage 2. So this car makes, like I mentioned, around 460 horsepower or some shit like that. Mid 400s, I don't know, and I don't really care, right? Mid 400s and like around 400 pound-feet of torque, right? And this car, I would suspect this car feels quick. This is a very quick and snappy car. And if you get an A6 or an A7 with a 3-liter, I highly recommend either going stage 1 or stage 2. In my opinion, personal opinion, I think stage 1 is the best bang for your buck in terms of horsepower per dollar. Going stage 2 only gives you like 20 horsepower and it costs like $1,000. Whereas stage 1, you can keep the entire car stock and you still make like 420 horsepower. So that's up to you depending on how far you want to take the car. But for me, the only reason I went stage 2 is because they already had the car apart for the valve cover gaskets, and they were fixing a slew of other stuff. And getting stage 2, instead of being $1,000, it was like maybe like $400 or $500 because half the labor was already done, right? So let me look at the car. I think that's about it under here, right? And like I mentioned, I haven't really had any real problems with this car. Knock on wood, right? Okay, so moving to the outside of the car, I'm going to do a slow walk around as I talk about things. I'm going to point it out. So the first mod that I can see here, outside of the vinyl, I almost forgot that this is vinyl. I've had it wrapped forever. But these are actually the stock rims, right? The stock 20-inch rims. And you're probably thinking, if this is an A7, why do I have those fat brakes there? I'm gonna get into that in just a second. But these wheels and tires are the stock rims, but I just had them powder coated because of the fact that this car has 220,000 miles and it was probably driven by like a soccer mom or something. The rims, when I got them, they had a ton of curb rash. Like they were fucked up, all sorts of fucked up, right? Boom. So I got them powder coated in black, and it's like a special type of black, but these brakes there's so much brake dust you can't even, it's all fucked up. Right? So I got them powder coated because I wanted to bring new life to the rims, and the place near me powder coated all the rims for like 380, and the rims look new. There's no curb rash. Behind the rim is S7 brakes, boom boom boom. So this was a very recent modification, and these rims and these brakes make this car look fucking amazing. I know I'm cursing a lot, but I'm not advertising it, and kids shouldn't be watching this anyway. But these brakes right here are from the Audi S7, and what I ended up doing was I bought a used set of S7 brakes off of eBay, and then I bought brand new S7 rotors off of eBay, and I had my wheels and my brakes powder coated together, right? And those are the brakes I'm running on this car right now. And the reason I'm running the S7 brakes is because, in my opinion, the brakes that come on the A7, they just don't feel that great. They don't give me the bite that I want, especially when I'm driving really, really fast. Now, again, I drive this car like a soccer mom, right? Like I drive it really slow, but a few times out of the year, I come down here to Tennessee. I come down here to Tennessee to the Tail of the Dragon. I do the Chirlahala Skyway and all the other stuff out here. And this is the only place in the country, one of the few places in the country where I actually put the car in the sport mode. And the last time I came down here with the stock 4-piston brakes, I was unimpressed. I didn't like them that much. And I don't like them in normal everyday driving either. They're just, they're super unimpressive. And to me, they look ugly. I like the way that a big brake kit looks. So I bought them off of eBay. If you're curious, these brakes, the front 2 brakes, that is, they were $1,000 together. And then the rotors were like $200, right? So that's my wheel and tire setup, right? Now the car is wrapped in matte black, and then I have gloss black roof, gloss black spoiler, and I have a gloss black hood. Some people said the hood should also be matte, but I don't care what you think. I like the gloss black, in my opinion. And the reason I like the gloss black is it's a great accent to the matte, right? And the reason I like my gold calipers is because it's a good accent to the chrome, right? Yeah, I think, I like the color coordination. And then I also swapped out the supercharged badge for the black one for obvious reasons, right? Boom. Moving on to the side of the car, I also have limousine tint on my car. That was one of the first things I did to the car. So limousine tint, I have a sticker there for my group. I'm a little bit of a weeb, I'm sorry. And And there's my pony on the car. Oh my goodness, how can I forget? So because this is a 2012 Audi, actually, hold on, let me turn the tail lights on. I have let me turn this on real quick. I got the tail lights from a 2016 Audi A7, right? Which is why it has like the Lamborghini, I think it's the Aventador. That's what they look like, the Aventador taillights. So I had these thrown on when the car got wrapped, actually, which makes the car look a lot more modern because it looks like the newer A7s. And these taillights just look really cool. I also got a small little lip spoiler for the spoiler. I mean, nothing much to say about it. It was like $80 and I just put it on myself. I have an APR badge right there. And then I also have a muffler delete, the rear muffler delete. The car is still pretty quiet. And I didn't get the suitcase, like the resonator delete, the suitcase in the middle. I kept that, and the car sounds fine. The car is not too obnoxious, right? And then, like I mentioned, I have the tail band right here, and that's pretty much it for the outside of the car, right? This car is my daily. This car is not supposed to be super loud or super crazy. My Corvette, I still have that car, by the way. My Corvette is the loud, obnoxious, crazy looking one, right? This car is supposed to be sleek, low key, just kind of cool. Now, it's not that low key with those brake calipers. Those calipers, I mean, these wheels this car gets a lot more attention after I got the powder coat done, right? So yeah, it gets a lot more attention, but it's still pretty low key, right? A lot of people, you have to know what you're looking at. And people see A7 and they don't think about it, or they don't even know what an A7 is. This car's not even popular, right? So yeah, that's it for the outside mods. I think I went over everything. Yeah, I did. Okay, for interior, also don't judge me, okay? This car is normally spotless, but I'm on a road trip, all right? And I have muffins back here that got all sorts of fucked up because I was driving on the tail of the Dragon. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw it over there. I have my two plushies over there. And you're probably thinking, what in the world is that thing? This is actually for any gamer nerds or dweebs out there, this is a 144 hertz panel mounted to the back of my passenger seat. I keep it back here because sometimes my girlfriend will drive, or sometimes my sister will drive, and I'll hop back here and play my Nintendo Switch or my Xbox. And I keep a controller right there, right? I'm gonna show you the trunk and how that's all wired up. But yeah, there's no modifications really for the back seat outside of the screen right here, and I just leave it mounted, right? The what's it called? The window tint. Can't see it anyway, so it just stays back there. Okay, stepping into the interior, as you can see, I'm at 222,000 miles, and no real issues really. And as you can see, the interior is holding up perfectly nice. It's perfectly fine. It's actually beige interior, and the car is red actually. So red on beige, and I kind of fuck with it because beige is chill, right? My Corvette has a red interior, so it's just a nice contrast to the crazy interior I have on my other car, right? But one of the other mods I did in here was this screen, right? So the A7, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, let me open the door, it's getting hot in here. It's like 85 degrees. There, boom. So one of the only ways that this car looks outdated or like old is the screen. Now this is an aftermarket one, but the A7 comes with like a old infotainment system that pops out, and one, it sucks, and two, there's a problem with those things where the Audi engineers, they're so fucking cheap for some reason, where the power cable is like this much too small, right? For some reason, it's like this much too small. And what happens is over time, especially in the higher mileage Audis, is that it breaks. And so the screen pops out, but then it's not powered on. So you have to take apart the radio and either rewire it, or you can replace it with like a custom one. I just opted to replace it with a custom one. And if you're familiar with the newer Audis, this is very similar to the newer Audis. This enables me to have wireless CarPlay. It's also touchscreen. I can watch YouTube off of it, movies, Hulu, Netflix, the whole shtick, right? It's cool. And it makes this entire interior way more modern, and it feels much more new, right? Just the only thing that's dated is just the screen. And if you replace that, this car is almost timeless, in my opinion. It just looks so good. And just in general, with how the car looks, this car still gets me so much attention, especially after I got my wheels done and my brakes. This car brings in so much attention. People are always floored. I love talking about how much I paid for it, which is like nothing. Like $8 grand for this much car, $8 grand for, you know, 450 horsepower. It's insane. It's insane. And so I wanted to make this video talking about how much of a deal these cars can be, right? This car is awesome. Now, I do want to also talk about who this car is for, right? Because this car can do a lot of things. This car can do an awful lot of things, but it does come at a price. Let me zoom back in again, because this car is gorgeous. Mainly those wheels. Look at that, man. Holy moly. Okay, I'm getting distracted. So who is this car for? I think this car is a great commuter, and it's a great daily, right? If you can get over the fact that it's not a V8, a lot of people are like, oh, why would I get an A7? Why I could just get a V8, blah, 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 right? Whatever. The V8 variant does go for a few grand more, maybe like $4 or $5 grand. But I think the real bargain is here, because one of the things you have to remember is it's still an Audi, and you're still going to have to pay the maintenance on it, right? For comparison, I have a C7 Corvette, and oil changes on that car is like $120. This car will run you $140, right? Maintenance is going to be high. It still takes premium, you know what I mean? And, you know, brakes and rotors, if you go to the dealership, is going to be a pain, right? Replacing stuff with this car is just extremely expensive, and you have to make sure you can budget for it. And I also suggest that this is not your main car, right? I think it's important for you to have a second car, or making this like your daily driver, but also having another car. Speaking of the devil, there's a Corvette, right? But yeah, this car is it's a little unique, right? You have to be willing to, you have to have like some, not deep pockets, but just be ready for potential repairs, right? Especially if you're like dealing with like maybe timing chain issues, which does happen sometimes, right? Timing chains and the guides need to be replaced, right? All sorts of stuff, right? You want to be ready for that kind of thing. Now, if you already have a reliable car, you want to have a second fun car, you cannot go wrong with this. It's so cheap. It's so fun. And I'm a type of guy that puts like 20,000 miles on my cars every year. And as you can see, I'm not afraid to drive it, and I'm not afraid to take it across the country, right? It's just, you just want to do your research on it. But I think this is an amazing car. And if you're looking at them and you're thinking about them, I highly recommend that you check them out. But I will say though, it does help an awful lot if you either, one, work on your own cars, or two, you have a trusty mechanic. I don't work on my own car. I have a mechanic, and he does all my work, right? I still pay him, right? I'm not getting free work, but you want to make sure you know someone that knows these engines, right? So in Chicago, there's a place called GRD Tuned, and they know Audis. They know them. They work on the 3-liter all the time, right? They know what the fuck is up with these cars, because you don't want to get this car and then you can't find anyone to do work on them, right? For example, when my crossover pipe broke, the shop that I broke down in front of a shop, and it was just a pipe. It was just a plastic pipe, and they wouldn't touch the car. They didn't want to touch it, you know? Firstly, they're wimps, and then secondly, like, you don't want to be stuck in that situation. So if you live in the middle of fucking nowhere in like Utah, and then no one works on these cars, you know, you may be in a pickle. But if you've got the right resources and you live near a metropolitan area, like a good metro, these cars can be a huge bargain. Especially if you're willing to source your parts off of sites like eBay and you're not going OEM. You know, if you're like a tinkerer, or like you like to get stuff off of eBay or whatever, or Amazon, you can save a lot of money. You can save a lot of money on repair costs and replacement parts, stuff like that, right? And you can get so much value out of this car. This car can be 300 horsepower. It can be a 300 horsepower daily. It can be a 450 horsepower sleeper, or you can take this car to the moon and make 600 horsepower. I've seen it, right? And there are people on YouTube that's done it. This car can be a lot of things, right? And reliable is actually low-key kind of one of them. So that's sort of my review on this car. If you guys want me to make another video going over like the things I love, the things I hate, I can definitely do that. The most stereotypical YouTuber car thing. People love to see those videos, I assume, but that's only if you guys want it. I'm not gonna make stuff that people aren't gonna watch, right? So I just want to tell people, or get it out there, that these cars are a massive bargain in 2025, and you can actively find the cars with this engine for under 10 grand, especially the A7 and the A6. If you're looking for an S5, maybe I think low teens, I think, right? But don't go out there and just buy any A7. Do your homework. right? Do your homework, get a pre-purchase inspection, and then buy it. Don't just go out buying stuff, right? That's how you get burned. But if you do your homework, you can hit the jackpot like I did. Now, after I'm done filming, I'm hoping that I get home safely, or I'm hoping that this car doesn't fucking break down now that I made a video praising it, right? The universe is weird in that way. But anyway, I'll be back, and then for my subscribers that I have, you know, I haven't been around in a while, and there's a few reasons why. But yeah, the Mustang that shit's gone. My Mustang is gone. That shit got totaled out like 2-3 years ago, and this is the car I replaced it with, and I couldn't be happier, right? So I'm gonna make a few update videos for you guys, but until then, I'll see you guys next time.